The next process model is Crystal. Now this Crystal agile process model, it was developed by Alistair Cockburn and Jim Highsmith. These were the two people that has designed a Crystal family of agile methods. That is, you're not going to have one particular model. Within this Crystal family of agile methods, you're going to have different models. Now, these different models are based upon the different set of requirements, or you can say the different prioritization, and what is the time frame of the project that is to be developed. Based upon that, you're going to have different Crystal techniques that we're going to study today. Now, in here, this Crystal methodology, it defines a set of methods, each with the core elements that are common to all roles. That is, in here, some core elements are going to be common for all the different Crystal techniques within the family. You're going to have the different process, different patterns, work products, and practices that are going to be unique for each of the particular process. Some core elements are going to be common, whereas the different approaches, the process patterns that you're going to do, that you're going to perform, those are going to be unique based upon the different Crystal method that you're using. Now, this custom methodology that you're using, it does not require too much of documentation. Now, within the previous techniques that we have studied, we have identified that the different increments in which you are delivering the software, each of the increments, they need to be well documented. Whereas this Crystal methodology, it does not involve too much of documentation, management, and reporting. Whereas this is going to focus upon a transparent workflow. That is what is happening, what you're developing. This development is going to be clear between the team that is going to develop the software and the client that is going to use the software. You're going to perform open communication between the team and the client. You're not going to focus on different documentation techniques. Now, in here, as I told you that within the Crystal family, you're going to have different Crystal methodologies. So in here, these methodologies are designed by two different dimensions. Now, these two different dimensions are based on size and the criticality of a particular software. Now, based upon the size of the particular software and how critical the particular software is that you are developing, in here, this Crystal methodologies are given the different names of minerals based upon their color and based upon their hardness of the particular mineral. Now, within the Crystal family, you're going to have different method. That is, first one is the Crystal Clear. Now, within this Crystal family, as you've seen, this Crystal family is divided, like all of these representations are done based upon the team size that is going to work, the criticality, that is how critical the particular software is that you're developing, and based upon priority of the software. Based on this differentiation is made. Now, the first one is Crystal Clear. Now, this Crystal Clear is made for teams of 8 members or fewer than 8, like fewer people. You're going to go for Crystal Clear. The next one is Crystal Yellow. Now, this Crystal Yellow method, it is made for 10 to 20 people. The next is Crystal Orange. This is made for team members for 20 to 50 people. Then you've got Crystal Red. Crystal Red are going to have team members for 50 to 100 people. Then the same thing, Maroon is going to have more people. Diamond and Sapphire, these are for more larger size projects. Now, in detail, we'll be discussing this. The first one is Crystal Clear. Now, within this Crystal Clear, now in here, as you studied, right, till 8 members the team can be. Now, in here, you're going to design small teams from 1 to 6 people. Like it can have till 8 people. You're going for design for 1 to 6 people. Now this crystal clear methodology is used when you need to support a fixed price. That is, in here the customer has got the constraint for the customer is cost. That is, he's got the limited cost that is given, and you need to deliver the software. You need to develop the software within that specified cost. He cannot pay more than that, and no negotiation contract is there. That is, in here any changes within the software, those changes are not there within the crystal clear methodology. So no changes within the crystal clear. Then people oriented doesn't focus on process and artifacts much. Now in here you're not going to focus upon the process and artifacts, because in here it requires less documentation. Not no, it requires very less documentation. It is not going to focus more upon the different artifacts or what are the processes that you're using. Each of the things are not going to be defined. So it requires less documentation, and this project is going to be focused on the focus is project safety. The next crystal methodology is crystal yellow. Now in here you're going to have team size of 7 to 20 members. In here, clear ownership of code areas. That is, in here when you've got like a particular project that has got different parts within the particular software that has to be developed. Now in here, this different code areas have got different ownership. That is, one particular person, like you can have a particular agency where one particular you've got different partners, and different partners are going to focus on specific code areas. That this is where from this particular area they're going to take the profits. So you've got clear ownership of the different code areas, and this code area ownership is defined that if any change is required, then the only person who knows the code can be taking care of it. That is, the person that is responsible for that specific code area, he's only going to make that changes within that specific department or the particular person that he has hired for coding. Now in here, the feedback is going to be taken by real users. Now in here, whenever you're developing a particular software, within the developer team only, one of the developer or they are going to work for the particular software and they can take feedbacks. But in here, only real users, when you have delivered the customer, you're going to call one person from the team or the customer that is going to use the particular software, and you're going to take the feedback from that particular user. From real users only, you're going to take the feedback. Again, this crystal yellow, it reduces the need for too much documentation. You're not going to require too much documentation in here, whereas you're going to focus upon the mission statement. That is, what is the goal of the software that you're developing. And in here, each of the things that are defined by the end user that are going to be verified with the customer. Now in here, there might be an end user, a particular person or a particular company that is designing a particular software to be developed for some specific type of customers. So in here, you're going to call some specific set of customers so that you can verify that whether these are only the things that you want within the particular software. So you're going to verify each of the goals that are defined with the customer. Now in here, you're also going to focus on automated testing to resolve bugs faster. That is, any changes that you're going to make within the code, in here it is going to start with the automated testing. Now when you're using automated testing, it resolves the different bugs very quickly, because in here it is automated. It is going to perform the testing on itself. Then in here, within the crystal yellow methodology, you're going to have monthly improvement plans. That is, in here you're going to give different updates for the particular software. You can provide updates, you can provide different optimizations for the particular software. Then you have a crystal orange. Now within this crystal orange, you can have a team size of 21 to 40 members, and the project is going to last for 1 to 2 years. When a project requires this much of time, you go for crystal orange methodology. Now in here, as the project is long, you're going to split up teams as per the functional skills. That is, in here, based upon the requirement of the particular project, you're going to have some complex operations, you might have some simple operations, you might have different work on the different interfaces. So based upon the functional skills, the people that are skilled to work on the complex software, that are skilled to work upon the different interfaces, or specific people that are very good at resolving issues or testing part, based upon that you're going to make different teams so that they can focus on the work that they are skilled on. Like a particular person, if you're hiring a person that has got full knowledge of some particular area only, then if he works on the project on that specific area, it is going to be very good for the company as well as the project. It is also going to decrease the time taken to develop the particular project. Now this crystal orange, it follows an incremental development. Now incremental development, it means you're going to deliver the software in different parts. That is, different features are going to be delivered by different updates within the software. Now in here, as this entire project is going to require 1 to 2 years of time, now these different features, they are going to be delivered within the time frame of 3 to 4 months. And every release will be called as increment as for every project. Now this is designed for medium-sized projects. Now in here, some medium-sized projects can also require time for 1 to 2 years. The next one is Crystal Red. Now in here, within the Crystal Red, the traditional software development methods get followed by the team of 40 to 80 members. Now that's Crystal Red team that is in here. If suppose you this is a large project, so in here the team members can vary from 40 members to 80 members based upon the size of the particular project and the priority of the project. Size, priority, and how critical the project is. Based upon that, you're going to identify the team members. Now in here, these teams are formed and divided as per the work required. Like within the previous model, it is you're going to split up the different teams. You're going to split teams based upon the different work on different set of requirements, or based upon interface, based upon complexity. Based on this, the different teams are going to be developed. Then you have a crystal maroon. Now within this crystal maroon, in here, it is used for very large projects. That is, they can have a team size from 80 to 200 people. That is a lot of people. So this is used for very large projects. The next one is crystal diamond and crystal sapphire. Now within this crystal diamond or crystal sapphire, this are the methods that are used for very critical and large scale projects. Now very critical means, if suppose this particular software development, it involves human life risk. You're developing a particular software for a particular hospital. Now if that software is going to crash or it is not going to work properly, it might result in risking a particular human's life. So you're going to go for the diamond or crystal sapphire method. Now in here, the team and strategies get decided as per the criticality. That is, how is the life of the human involved. Based upon that, you're going to identify what is the criticality and how you're going to develop the particular software. Now within the previous techniques like crystal and maroon, we have said that it is taken for very large scale projects. Now based upon that, if we discuss it in depth, it is going to take a lot of time. So within this crystal methodologies, these models are going to be asked for 5 to 6 mark answers. It can be asked along with the agile principles. So in here, if you cover the different crystal methodologies and you write a few points for each of the crystal method, then it will be enough. You do not need to cover each of them in detail. You can write the team size and the time required to develop the project, and a few points like the crystal and diamond, it requires human risk, the time box techniques, and the teamwork that is split among different team members. If you define that much, that will be enough. The next model is feature driven development. So next model, feature driven development. This model was designed by Peter Code. That initially Peter Code designed this particular model. Now this was a process model that was designed for OOSE, that is object oriented software engineering. Now as the name says, feature driven development, you're going to develop a particular model based upon the different features that are given specific value by the customer. That is, some specific feature is given some specific priority that this need to be delivered at the very first increment. Now in here, each and every feature in here that is being developed, it needs to be implemented within 2 weeks of time or less than that. Whenever you're following the FDD approach, you need to deliver each increment within 2 weeks or less of the time. Now in here, the template that it is going to follow is the action that you're going to perform, the result, by, for, to, then the object. Now let me write this. The template is action, the, what is the result, then by, for, of, to, then object. Now in here, this object, this particular object, it can be a person, it can be a place, it can be a thing, a role, description of a particular process, or a moment in time. So what is an object? An object can be a person, a place, a thing, role, description, or a moment in time. Now in here, if you want to implement this template, an example is we want to add a specific feature in an e-commerce website. Now implementing it by the specific template, you're going to add the product to shopping cart. So in here, action is, what is action? Action is you're adding. The result is adding the product, some specific product that you have buy. Now this is, you can take in here buy, for, offer to. So in here you're taking to, adding the product to the object. What is the object? It can be a place, person, thing, or a role. So you're adding that particular product to a object, that is shopping cart. So this is one example of adding a feature by making use of FDD. The second one is, if you want to display the technical specifications of a product. Now in here, we are using of. Your action is, you're going to display a particular product, technical specifications of that particular product, that is the object. Or you want to store some specific information for a particular product, or the shipping details. Those can be the different examples for adding a feature by making use of FDD. Now in here, you're adding one specific feature. Now if suppose you want a particular feature that is a part of another feature, so you can have an action plus ing for a particular object. Now if we take an example for this, this will be making a product sale. Now in here, the object is product sale, action is plus ing, you're making a product sale. So in here, this is a feature set that is going to group different features into a business category. That is in here, For a particular product sale, within this product sale, it is going to have different products, different brands are going to be there. So in here, you're going to have a feature set that is going to group into different business related categories. That is, you can have the different brands within a particular product. So based on that, this is the template that you're going to use within the feature driven development. Now, and here, this feature driven development, this is the diagrammatic representation for FDD. Now, FDD defines 5 collaborating framework activities. These are the framework activities that are going to be implemented. Now, in here, you're going to give more emphasis upon the different management guidelines. You're going to focus on the management guidelines and the different techniques that are there to model a particular feature. Now, in here, the first one is the first activity is develop an overall model. That is, it focuses on more shape than content. Now, suppose you are developing an e-commerce website. So within the first phase, you're going to focus on what is going to be the overall look for the particular software, because the end user first is going to be interested in overall how your website is going to look like, how attractive it is, how easy the user interface is going to be. So it is going to focus more upon the shape than the content. That is going to be the first step. Then in here, the next step is building a feature list. When you identify how it is going to look like, the user interface, everything you've discussed, the basic requirements, you're going to identify the different features that are going to be present within the particular software that you're designing. Now in here, the different features that can be, you want to have a different mobile column, a different TV appliances column. Then you've got men's fashion, then you have women's fashion, kids fashion, different features in here, sports, fitness, beauty, health. These are the different features that you're identifying. That is a feature list. You want all of this to be embedded within the e-commerce website. So in here, you're going to have a list of all the features. Now in here, within these features, you're going to group them into sets. Now in here, if you focus upon this men's fashion. Now within this men's fashion, you're going to have different categories. Now within men's fashion, you're going to have a clothing line, like you're going to have the different watches that are for men. You're going to have different sunglasses. You can have the different accessories. So in here, you're going to group all of this under men's fashion. Then if you go for this mobile development, within this mobile development, you're going to have the different mobile accessories are going to be there. Different mobile accessories are going to be there. You're going to have you can have different power banks. So based on this, you're going to group them into different categories. Then you're going to plan by each of the feature. Now in here, as we're discussing men's fashion, you've got different watches, sunglasses, accessories, you can have different sportswear, you can have shoes. So in here, based upon all of this, you're going to plan by each one feature at a time. If you're discussing men's fashion, then you're going to design men's fashion first. If you're discussing mobile and different accessories for mobiles, you're going to plan by that specific feature. Now in here, a development plan is based upon the class owner and feature set owners. Now in here, a class owner is like who is going to focus upon one specific feature, who is going to develop the watches feature brand, and who is going to overlook the men's fashion. That is, you're going to make a development plan based upon this entire class owner and the different set owners features, the different watches, sunglasses, who is going to individually design them. You're going to build this. Now in here, by combining the first framework activity and the second framework activity, that is called as your initial modeling, because in here you're designing the overview of the website and the different features that is going to be there. Whereas The next feature is you're going to design by the specific feature and you're going to build by the specific feature. Now in here, as you've got a list of different designs, you're going to make a design package. Now in here, within the design package, as in men's fashion, you've got watches, sunglasses, accessories. Now within watches also, you can have the different brands. So in here, you're going to bundle all of those watches and the different brands as one particular package. Now if suppose you just click on a specific brand of watches, it is going to display that specific brand. That is, each of the watches that is belonging to that particular brand, they are going to be bundled in a package. That is, your search can be filtered based upon that particular brand. Then you're going to, as you've designed based upon this, you're going to build. That is, first you're designing an architecture, then you're going to actually do the coding part in here. That is the completed client valued function. Now in here, this particular feature that is designed by feature, built by feature, this is going to happen multiple times until the entire website is completed. That is for all the different features, for men's fashion, for women's fashion, sports, mobile, TV, beauty, health, care, all of this is going to be complete. Now in here, combining the second framework activity and the fourth framework activity, it is called as model storming. Now in here, model storming means, now in here, there is a term that is called as brainstorming. Now brainstorming means you're going to collect multiple ideas from different set of people. That is, everyone is going to be given a chance so that they can speak up their ideas. What can be there within the particular software? You are going to collect ideas. The same way, you're going to model storming, how this particular feature is going to design, how you're going to model it, how you're going to code it, how this is going to look like. Each of the things are going to be designed within this FDD model. So there are 5 framework activities, and they are going to be, the last part is going to occur multiple times until the website is completed. Now in here, within this, we have already discussed that FDD has got greater focus upon how you're going to manage a particular project and what are the different techniques that are used to build a particular software. Now in here, if the project is going to grow in size, that is, if the project is very large, so as the project is growing in size, the complexity of the project is also going to increase. So as the size and the complexity of the project is increasing, it becomes very difficult for the developers and the managers to manage what work is being done. So in here, now as the project is growing in size, the developers and the managers, it becomes difficult for them to manage the particular project. Now in here, it becomes difficult for managing the project, and as well as the deadline of the particular project is also going to arise, is going to come soon. So in here, to identify this, when you're going to deliver one software increment so that it does not crosses the deadline, you've got 6 milestones that is going to help you with this type of difficulty. Now this 6 milestones is going to have, the first milestone is going to be a design walkthrough. Now a design walkthrough means whenever you're designing, you're going to have an overview or a review for the entire design, what you are developing, that is going to be identified. Then you're going to actually design the architecture. Then when you've done the designing part, you're going to inspect how your design is. Inspection. You're going to take how accurate your software is, how robust your design is, that is going to be identified. Then based on that, you're going to start with the coding part. Then when you have done the code, you're going to go for the code inspection. And when the code inspection is done, then promote to build. That is, you're going to develop the final software. So these are the 6 milestones that are going to help when the project grows in size and the complexity increases and the managers are unable to manage the project, and you need to decide within how much time the software increment need to be delivered. So when you follow the 6 milestones, it becomes easy for you to keep track of the particular project. The last model is Agile Modeling AM. Now this is a model. This is a practice-based methodology for effective modeling and documentation. Now, as we have studied within the Crystal methodology model, you did not focus upon the documentation and different modeling techniques, whereas Agile modeling is going to focus upon the different modeling and documentation for the particular software that is going to be built. Now this agile modeling, it also focuses, like, whenever you're developing a particular model using agile modeling, you need to be confident enough that you make decisions that, if suppose you're making a decision is going to involve that, if all the work that you have done, that might go to waste and you need to again start from the beginning, but that was the best decision that was taken. So you need to have that courage so that you make some specific decisions that is going to be very helpful for the software that you're developing. Now in here, you've got specific modeling principles that are going to be followed for agile modeling. Now the first one is model with a purpose. Now model with a purpose means you need to identify what is the specific goal before you started modeling the particular software, as agile modeling focuses on modeling. So before you're starting the modeling part, you're going to identify what is the main goal, why you're developing the software. That needs to be identified while developing the software. The next one is using multiple models. Now in here, you can make use of many models and the different notations so that you can describe the software efficiently or effectively. That is, what are the different features that are involved within the software, what is going to be the user interface. If different models are required, like you can make use of some type of graphical representation. You might have some 3D development technique, or you might need a prototype to fully identify what are the different functionalities of the particular software. So you're going to make use of all of them so that you understand the software very well. Then the next one is travel light. Now in here, as you have developed multiple models, in here you're going to keep those models only that are going to provide you with long-term value, that has got the main features, or that the features that are, if suppose you've got, as you have seen, that you've got graphical representation, 3D and prototype. Now in here, suppose the prototype is very helpful, but that is, it is going to help you identify how the software is going to look like, what are the interfaces, so you're going to keep the prototype. Now if suppose the 3D representation is very good and it is going to provide you with more insight within the future in the software, you're going to focus on the 3D model only. So that is the model that is going to help you while developing the software for the entire lifetime of the project. Then you're going to keep those models only. Then content is more important than representation. Now in here, if suppose you've got the perfect model, but it represents very less or sparse knowledge, then this model is not useful. Whereas if you've got a flawed model that has got many defects, but it is going to give you more intel, then this model is very helpful and you're going to keep this specific model. The next one is know the models and tools used to create them. That is, the different models and tools that you develop, you need to know the strength and weakness of each and every tool. Now in here, the strength and weakness is, suppose you are developing the particular software by making use of some specific tool, but there is a disadvantage of the tool that is going to affect your software, so you are not going to use that particular tool. So you need to know what is the strength and weakness of each tool before you're creating the particular software. Then the last framework activity is adapt locally. Now in here, adapt locally means you need to identify the modeling approach that should be adapted to the needs of the agile team. The different techniques, the different steps that you're using, the approach that you're identifying, this should be adaptable based upon the agile team. That is, in here, the changes that, if they are requested, you need to be able to make that changes within the modeling approach. Now in here, as you've studied the seven different models for agile, so in here, what are we going to choose? Agility, or just going to go for the software engineering approach? That is the waterfall model, the incremental model. Which are we going to choose? Now in here, You do not need to choose between agility or the different software engineering model, the incremental model, waterfall model. Instead, you're going to make a software engineering approach that is agile, that is adaptable to the different changes and the different priorities that you require within your particular project. Based upon your requirement, you're going to select the particular project. Based on your requirement, you're going to select a strategy that best suits your project.